everybody. I'm Roger Wakefield. Welcome to Sippin' Saturday. And I know we're not opening the safe today, but great to have y'all here today. And here's what this is all about. Okay. I am transforming and elevating the trades community through education, innovation, and community engagement. And the community engagement part, guys, starts right here. I love the fact that y'all are here with me. If it's your first time here, you might want to go ahead and hang around, especially if you're catching it on the live. If you've got a question today, please put it in the comments. Put a Q in front of it. I'll make sure that I get to that. We've already got a lot of people in here going through things. And as you see, I have a special guest in the house today. Ben, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
Man, take a second and just tell everybody who you are and what it is that you do.
Sure. So my name is Ben Alexander, and I own a handyman business here in DFW. We currently have about 45 employees. Really not your standard handyman business. We also do some remodeling, bathrooms, replacement windows, exterior doors, stuff like that.
The bathroom remodel is really cool because, and even when we first started talking, it's like, wait, plumbers hate handymen.
Yep.
And they don't always hate handymen. They hate handymen that do plumbing on HVAC, things they're not supposed to. I think every plumber should know a great handyman or have a great handyman company that they can refer to. So, and you found out that really does work pretty well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I think if you're watching this and you're in the handyman world or the trades world, that is an absolutely great relationship to have. We work in the same homes. We do the same similar work. And, there's a lot of cross reference and referral opportunities between the trades.
Okay. And Colton's working on the computer. Apparently, we had some sound issues, so he jumped in and got that fixed. And he says we're dropping out. So I'm
Must be
adjust
too
my
much
microphone.
too much facial hair hitting the microphone here.
That's probably the problem over here. So I'm going to jump in the comments real quick. Denver Shawboy, welcome back, brother. Good to see you in here as always. Jason Smith, good morning to you, sir. And yeah, hello to Denver too. Jason has a question. Jason says, I recently saw a video of me interviewing a tech in his van, and he said all Milwaukee pack out. Said he had all Milwaukee pack out as a storage. Yes, I really love that idea. Is it more cost effective? I think it is. I got to tell you, do y'all do the Milwaukee pack outs in your vans, or do you know?
A few of the guys do have those Milwaukee pack outs.
I love them. I got to tell you, number one, I've always thought Milwaukee makes a good product, but to see how they've gone above and beyond for storage systems for vans, one of the most amazing things you can do as a technician, something I never did, be very well organized, and the pack out system makes that so possible. It's fantastic. So I like the mounts they have for them, the wall mounts they have for them. And they even sent me a Yeti that literally you can put down on top of it and lock it down where it doesn't fall. So cool. And I say Yeti, it's probably not. It's probably made by Milwaukee. But my favorite thing about Milwaukee too, Jason, is the fact their batteries. That they are investing so much in their batteries to make sure that their batteries always fit. No matter if you get a new tool, that old battery is going to fit, or if you get a new battery, it's going to fit that old tool. So I love stuff like that. And yeah, I like it better than the traditional shelves. Brother Randy Jackson, good morning to you, sir. iCast Enterprises, howdy from Tennessee. Good to see you as always. Yes, Mr. Raj is in the house. Hope everyone's having a great day. Chris Shreves, welcome back, brother. Good to see you in here as always. Says, good morning, everyone. I won't be able to watch all the episode today. Be out airsofting. Okay, I don't know what airsofting is.
You should try it. It's pretty fun.
Is it? What is it?
Like paintball, but smaller.
Check that out.
I've heard it. I've heard it hurts.
I'm sure the paintball does. I never even did that because I don't like getting hurt. But I would enjoy the heck out of it. That does. It sounds like fun. Got big text in the chat. Good to have you in here. Lena Maria, 79. Good evening from Finland. Good morning from Texas. Good to have you in here. Thank you so much. Jay says, what's up, Ben? Andreas Christensen. Not sure what that says, but from Norway. Andreas, good to have you in here. Thank you for coming.
Look at this guy right here.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so you're not supposed to be looking down at that
I know.
stuff.
He told me not to look at the screen.
I
but
know I did. Nobody listens.
somebody says Ben's son on there. I got to reply. Hello, Noah.
I know. Hello from Norway. Squirt says, good morning, crew. Motor feed in the house. We were talking about you a while ago.
Yep.
Says, howdy, bro. Jason Smith says, you're breaking up. I think that they've fixed that now. If the audio sounds good, guys, do me a favor, let me know. And we'll know. Okay, sound is fine here. There you go. Ben Son says, that's my dad. Well, Ben Son, thank you for sharing dad with me this morning. And he also says, hello, Uncle Matt. Hello to everybody. Randy Jackson says, I've changed all my tool storage to Milwaukee Packout. A lot of plumbers have. And hello, Ben Son.
I'd be curious to know how much it costs to change all your tools to a Milwaukee Packout.
Well, in your storage system, I mean, you can spend a lot of money on those metal storage systems, and I've had those for years, and I think that they're good things. But I've got to tell you, I got to go to Milwaukee last year, and they had it set up that they invited a bunch of people down, but they broke it down in like 6 different categories. You had your general contractor, your plumbing, your electrical, your automotive, your trees and landscaping, and all the tools they had. It was so neat. But one of my favorite parts was in the back corner where they had the pack out and the storage where you can, man, they've got things that you can mount on the wall and hang your pack outs on the wall. It was one of the freaking coolest things. I loved it.
I probably need one of those in my garage.
Man, I need a whole garage. Matter of fact, I need a whole wall in the barn like that. Milwaukee, I love you. Holler at me. Kevin Orr says, but the system is so daggum expensive. Too much for a homeowner to get, but I tried. You know, and here's the deal. Look, you can say it's too much for a homeowner, but if you want your home set up right, I think it's phenomenal. And, you know, my dad had a guy that lived across the street from him, and you could go over and say, hey, look, I need a 1/4-inch fine thread nut because I dropped the one when I was working on the car, and I need it. And he'd be like, okay. And then he'd go out and he'd look up at his wall and he'd be like, okay, this jar here. Or he'd pull a box out and he'd pull it out and he'd look at the jars and he'd open up a jar and he'd scroll through and he'd say, there you go. Knew where everything in the world was. And to me, that's what Milwaukee Packout makes really, really easy for you. So we're going to talk here in a little bit about managing a massive service fleet. And look, when my plumbing company got up to about 6 trucks at one time, it's like, okay, I'm busy keeping guys running. How many trucks do you say you got running right now?
30.
We got a lot to learn, y'all. Morning, Big R-Dub. What's happening, Barry? How are you? Justin Spalding back in the house. A good morning from Austin, Texas. Man, I'm going to be in Austin May the 4th, I believe. I love that town. Motorfeed wants to know why your beard is so flawless. Well, he's back there combing it a while ago. So
it's this microphone. It just combs it well. Beard oil, guys. Beard oil.
Venom says, good morning from Nevada. I was in Nevada 2 days ago. I just left Las Vegas. Serge Lay says, I'm a plumber. I'm curious about how y'all run a call. I have a company that my boss sits behind a computer and has us run a channel while on a call and has us monitoring our work. How do you feel about that? Have you run a channel while on call? So he's setting up a live stream so he can see what y'all do. What do you think about that?
I just wonder how he would have that much time. But, you know, I think it could potentially be an effective use of technology. You know, we've been having conversations with project managers about using technology and maybe not doing as much driving and doing a little bit more
preliminary.
Yeah, and taking videos of job sites for review. But, you know, old school in the way of been project management in the trades has been drive there and walk the job.
You bet.
And
eyes on.
Right. You don't necessarily have to do that in this day and age because you have all kinds of computers right here with videos, and we can walk around and have a conversation via Zoom, FaceTime, Skype, anything like that, and really be able to see the job remotely.
No, I completely agree with that. And I've actually troubleshooted people working on the tankless water heater before, teaching them how to fix it online.
Absolutely.
Meaning they do a FaceTime with me, and I'm like, well, here's the problem. Press that button, do this, do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know that I love the idea of being able to have FaceTime, but I don't know that I like the idea of having everything set up where he's just watching you 100% of the time. That's kind of a lot of time just to spend setting up and breaking stuff down.
It is. I think if that was happening to me, my first question would be like, why do you feel the need to watch me all day?
Yeah.
Um,
Barry says, I'm a commercial plumber from Georgia, 35 years experience. Where's the work at? Well, as a commercial plumber, anywhere the tower cranes are. And I say that seriously. There's a lot of work going on in Dallas. There's a lot of work going on in New York. And luckily, I get to travel the country a lot. And one of the things I always look for in a skyline are the tower cranes. Who's building? Who's working? Who's growing? So a lot of stuff going on. iCast Enterprises says, audio is great. Thank you very much. It was just good evening, Finland. Aha. Thank you very much. I like that. Andreas and Lena are communicating back and forth. Hello to both of you, or good evening to both of you. Serge Lay says about that and any suggestions. Serge, I thought we talked about that. Yeah. So suggestions, and number one, I don't know if you're union or non-union. I would literally contact, look, in our community, we've got the Trade Talks page. Get in there on Facebook and talk to people and say, hey, where y'all at? Who's looking for plumbers? But I know Dallas is growing. Austin's growing. New York, there's always tower cranes in New York. It blows my mind. So good luck with that. Randy Jackson says, also changed all my gas-powered lawn equipment to Milwaukee. Man, we're doing that, or we did that. We ordered a lot of stuff from Milwaukee. I got to tell you, I don't mind spending money on something like Milwaukee because you're going to get value with the money you spend. And I like the fact I've had another brand at home and we brought it up here and the little float bubble was old and brittle and rotted. And, I've always had problems with the bottom half of it. So it's like, you know what, just get online, go to Milwaukee, order a whole new set. And we did. So I understand. And Justin says he went all in with DeWalt. Too much to change now. You say that, but here's what I love about Milwaukee. Guys, I keep going back to the battery. It's going to be a game changer. And to me, I don't mind DeWalt. And I got to tell you, I may have just a little problem with DeWalt. And I didn't know it until watching the Masters or the tournament before that. They'll spend money supporting a golfer, giving him a DeWalt bag, giving him DeWalt hat and stuff like that. And man, I have a hard time getting DeWalt to do anything. They don't want to sponsor the trades, but they'll sponsor a golfer. That makes me think they're building their product for homeowners, not for professionals. So that's just my thought on it. Y'all can say or do whatever you want to do. Aubrey Alexander. I'm assuming that name.
That would be my daughter.
May
Hello,
sound
Aubrey.
familiar
How are
there
you?
too. Christian Herrera says, my company runs around 200 trucks here in Dallas. I spoke to fleet manager. It's not easy for him. Yeah. Christian, I'm not, what kind of company? Plumbing, electrical, HVAC? Which one? Or is it a combination of all of them? We know
Right.
companies like that.
Yep.
Multi-trades. I get that. Okay. Makes sense. See, thank you. Randy Jackson says company cam is what we use for communications on jobs.
I love Company Cam.
Yeah, company cam. It's funny. They've talked to me a couple of times about a sponsorship. At least when we're at shows, they talk to me, but it never goes beyond that.
We use Company Cam, and I am a firm believer in Company Cam.
Yeah, it makes sense. It works.
It does.
Barry says bingo. I do that as well. You're welcome. Michael Brennan says, thanks, Roger. How about China Grove, Texas? Man, I don't know that I've ever been to China Grove, Michael. Have you?
I've never heard of China Grove.
Okay. Jared Calamita says, I'm just about to start my journey in plumbing as I got a job in commercial in Canada after going through university for business, and I wish I started with this out of high school. Jared, here's what I'll tell you. Somewhere down the road, it's going to be really good for you Because if you ever decide to open your own company, you're going to know more about business. And what do you think about that?
Absolutely. China Grove looks like it's outside
No,
Austin.
I'm talking about
Gotcha.
Jared going to college.
You know, college is not for everybody, and you can make a heck of a career in the trades as well.
Yeah. Going through university for business, I think can help you because eventually one
Absolutely.
day you may want to open your own company. ICAST says no matter what the trade, if a boss feels he or she has to be able to view a crew live at all times, either they have the wrong crew or they don't deserve to be a boss. You know, I can get that. And, you know, there's a new product out right now, and I've had a lot of plumbers talk to me about it. But there's a product now that, you know, the plumber can walk in with his phone in his pocket and it records the entire conversation.
Right?
And, you know, I've had plumbers tell me, man, I hate that. I'm going to quit. I'm going to leave. And my thought is, look, if the company has a good training program and they are spending money to train you to become a better technician, to me, I don't mind them having a phone in your pocket that tells them, are you doing what you're supposed to do? And it's not just telling them, are you doing what you're supposed to do? But they can monitor it and coach you and help you. If you want to be a better plumber, HVAC technician, electrician, handyman, there's ways to communicate.
Absolutely.
And there's ways to do it right. And if they're spending money training on you, what's wrong with them listening to see how you're doing? What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, you know, there's two mindsets here. You have the technician and the field guys mindsets, and then you have the owner or the operator, the leadership team's mindset. I think that it goes back. We've talked about communication a lot today.
You bet.
And I think it really goes back to the leadership telling you the why and the reasoning behind it. And maybe that the field guys don't sometimes, maybe you think it's a scam or they're out to get me. And maybe it's really not that it's a scam. Maybe that it's that they want to help you be successful. They want to coach you, and maybe they can't coach you if they don't know what you're doing wrong. They can't always be with you and ride with you. I say the most challenging part of the trades is, as a business owner or on the leadership team aspect, is seeing what the needs of your field are and seeing what the needs of your team members are and coaching to those individual needs, not just as a group. You know, one guy might be really good at the first section of his job as far as communication goes, and another guy may be stumbling, and you may be able to do one-on-one coaching and training to help them be as successful as possible, right? But without knowing what's happening in the home and how they're saying it and how they're communicating it, it's really hard to create an effective training plan.
And here's the deal. And, you know, Squirt put it in there. He says, trust but verify. You know, here's the thing. They're spending a lot of money. You know, I had the plumbing supervisor for, you know, a company I'm involved with, Rescue Air, had him in. He says, Roger, we spend about $10,000 a year per employee on training. It's a lot of money.
Yes.
Okay. It's a lot of money, but the big companies are doing that. And my thing is, look, if you're spending 10 grand to make me a better plumber and you want to listen to the conversation that I'm having with Mr. Alexander when I walk in his house, I have no problem with that. You can do that. I think it's smart. You trust that what you're teaching them is working. You trust that they're doing it, but verify it and see if there's a way to coach them and help them get any better.
Absolutely. I think most business owners, their ultimate result is to make their team members as successful as they can be. That business owners have no incentive to make their team members unsuccessful.
Right.
They rely on the success and the skills of their team members, and the team members rely on the leadership and the owners to, you know,
To do the
provide
right
calls and make sure they get their paychecks good and make sure
bet.
they have a call tomorrow.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. It is a team.
Every day. ICAST Enterprises says, no matter what the trades, if a boss feels he or she has to be able to view the crew at all times, guys, yeah. If you're a boss, hire better people, train better, find ways to do it. I'd be interested to see how that camera setup looks like and things like that. That's interesting.
How do you explain that to your customer?
Your customer, yeah, we're going to set up a camera so the boss can watch us work.
Yeah, that's a little interesting.
Chris Hendricks says, just finished my 4 years as a journeyman. What advice can you give starting out on their own? 4 years. Okay, you just finished 4 years as a journeyman. If you're finished 4 years as a journeyman, you've been out on your own, or I would think. I'm assuming you finished your first 4 years, and now you're a journeyman. I'm just guessing here, Chris. Here's what I tell you. Always try to do the right thing. No matter where you walk in, what job you're on. You know, when I joined the union, they had a lot of names for me because I was non-union coming in. And they really don't like that. But what I did is I made it my goal each and every day to outperform the other plumbers on the job. Do the work better. Make it look nicer. Have no leaks. Do things like that. Outperform anybody and everybody you work around, and just always try to be the very best you can be. What do you think?
Yeah, I have this saying. I call it the 10% rule. I've had many people over the years ask me, anywhere I've ever worked, I've always kind of stood out above the crowd, and I just tell everybody it's the 10% rule. Essentially, most guys in the trades, they're there to get their paycheck and go home. All right, you don't have to do double the amount of work as everybody else. 10%. Do a little bit more than everybody else, learn a little bit more, care a little bit more,
try a little bit more.
Right. Maybe think of the business that you work for as maybe the business you own or the business you want to own one day. And those things get recognized. You don't have to do 100% more than everybody else.
I love that. I remember one of the first supervisors that I worked with in the union. He was walking around the job site showing me around, and somebody had swept up a bunch of stuff, and he walked over to the pile and he started pulling these 3/8 nuts out, and he pulled about 10 of them out and stuck them in his pocket. And I said, what are you doing with that? He says, well, they were laying there. That's what I understand. A few nuts. He said, yeah, but he said, these nuts are about 5 cents each. He said, so that's about 50 cents. He said, and if I do this every day, stuff like that adds up.
Right.
And I was just like, wow. I said, man, you run this job like it's yours. He said, it is.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I always took that on when I became a superintendent. I ran it like it was mine. Like, look, this is my money to gain or lose. And it really is such a big, big deal.
Yeah.
ICAS says for protection and training, I can see that. For the training, it's big, guys. Look, if companies are spending, okay, let me ask you this, because you were in a sheet metal division of a bigger company.
Mm-hmm.
How much money do you think they spend a year on training? Just a wild, out of the ballpark guess.
Couple million.
Couple of $1 million. If I'm the owner of a company and I'm writing checks for $2 million a year, I want to know, am I putting this to good use?
Absolutely.
Is Ben doing the things that he's been taught to do, or is Ben just going in and saying, yeah, I've been taught this way, but I'm going to do it this way? And why do they go in and look at people like that? Well, Ben, if every other plumber's averaging $500,000 a year in sales and you're averaging $250,000 a year in sales, I need to see what you're doing, because the training that we're doing for everybody else isn't working with you. So
and why?
You've got to look at it. Yeah, why isn't it?
And,
trust but verify.
Trust but verify. Yep. And, if they're verifying it, in most instances, it's not to come down on you. It is to help you and help you grow.
And I love the way you put that. Think about that, guys. If you're trying to make me go from $250,000 a year in sales to $500,000 a year,
what does that do to me? Does my paycheck change?
I'm just saying.
Oh, wait, does the company's profitability change?
Does the ability of them to give me raises later change? There's so many. Can we get new vehicles now?
Can you take your family on that vacation you wanted to because your employer has invested into you?
Can we get new tools? Can
we buy that garage pack out?
Yeah. Now, as a homeowner or plumber, you can afford that garage pack out. The cool thing about it is the companies want you to get better. Yes, it does. It helps them get better. No doubt about that. But if I'm working at a company, do I want to work at a company that's making money, making good money, making profit, showing profit, can afford to send us on training, Or do I want to work for a company that, look, they're not training us. We're not getting any better, but you know what, man, we're here every day. Great.
Yeah, the other thing is too, if you've been in the trades a long time, you know that at some point you can't be in that van. You can't be crawling through attics, crawling underneath that house, doing what you guys are doing every day. So if you love the company you work at, do you want to find another company down the road because your body won't hold up? Or do you want to be the best you can be and help your company grow as they grow, develop more roles and opportunities for advancement for you and your other guys out in the field? So
It's huge.
yeah, I really think, and we were having a conversation earlier about perspective, and I had told you that my first job in the trades, I don't think I was really the best employee, and that if I ever ran into that manager,
Right.
probably apologize because,
Gee, I'm sorry.
yeah, I'm sorry. I gave you a little hell. Hey, guess what though? I have 47 employees, so payback's coming my way,
bet.
right?
No, it is.
So, but your perspective is reality. If you think the man's out to get you, then regardless of what he's actually trying to do, he's out to get you.
Yeah.
And I really think, it should never be the field versus the office or the field versus the management. It should be, why does my manager want me to do this? And if you don't know, you should ask, like, hey, I don't understand why you're recording me.
Right. What's the purpose
What's
of
the
this?
purpose? Is there something I can do better? And maybe approach it that way instead of this butthead over here just has nothing to do but watch me all day.
Yeah.
Right.
Guys, it's not always about you. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is. But a lot of times it's about the customer and the company. Are we doing the right things? Are we doing what we should be doing each and every day? iCast Enterprises says that's a good way to put it. Trust but verify. Absolutely. And good point. Yes, indeed. Roger Wakefield, that does make sense after hearing it put that way. Guys, look, if we're going to get better, and I mean, think about this, ride-alongs, okay? Ride-alongs are good. But to me, when I'm in a truck with somebody and I noticed, oh, gee, they tucked their shirt in today. Oh, gee, they're putting on floor savers today. Oh, gee, they're doing this when they hadn't gone through a box of floor savers in the last year. Okay, I know you're doing things because I'm there. I love the fact of having the tool in the pocket that can just listen to them. Verbal and body language are the biggest things we can do when we walk in and talk to customers. So stuff like that is huge. So yeah, thank you very much. Kristen Herrera says, when starting a company, is it a good idea for a business loan to get a quick start or get a kickstart, but for trucks and tools and stuff like that? I didn't like the idea of borrowing money. Now, you've started 3 businesses.
Yep.
Your first 2, did you borrow money to start them?
I didn't have any money, and
Yeah.
I didn't borrow any money.
I was the same way.
I don't think I had credit either.
Yeah. Luckily, I've got credit, but
Yes.
but I try not to use it. So, I don't like the idea of. Look, I started out with older vans because that's what I could afford.
Yes, same.
And it's like, you know what? Let me get to where I can make some money and then do this. I never wanted to be in debt. Even when we started leasing vehicles, it was always like, okay, wait a minute. I don't own these. And we're paying a lot.
Every purchase was scary.
Like. Yeah. So, Kristen, I look at when I start a company, I want to try to I want it to be all me. And, y'all need to go over to the Trade Talks. Squirt, Colton, if one of y'all put a link in here to it. My thing is, I never wanted partners because I know how I want things done. But then again, you've got an amazing partner now.
Right.
And so there are good partners and bad partners. And y'all need to go over and check out the interview on the Trade Talks. It'll be out in probably a week or 2. But man, a lot of great information, guys. So I don't like the loan idea, but some people do. Chris Hendrick says, finish my 4 years of journeyman, about to take my master's and start a company. Okay, good deal. So you've got 4 years as an apprentice, 4 years as a journeyman. I'm assuming you're here in Texas by that fact, and going to take his master's and start a company. Ben, what advice would you give a young plumber, and I say young, a 9-year plumber, getting ready to start a new company?
Spend a lot of time building your plan. Don't just jump into it without a goal, without a vision, and without a plan.
I
Right?
like that.
How are you going to get your calls? First and foremost, we don't even need a call. How are we going to run our calls?
Yeah.
How are we going to operate? How are we going to teach our technicians? How are we going to price?
What are you going to charge?
What are we going to charge?
How are you going to collect? How are you going to run credit cards?
Why do I want to start my own company?
Yeah, and we're down to that. We ain't even got to the marketing part yet.
Right. Well, why do I want to start my own company versus working for somebody else? You know, and there are viable reasons to do both.
You bet.
And really, those are what are your long-term goals?
I got a question. The bigger companies that you work for, you work with. If I work there as a plumber and I come into Gus's office one day and say, hey man, look, one day I want to own my own company. Does Gus say get out? Does Gus say let me teach you? Does Gus say now you're my competitor? How does he look at that?
I would say that he would look at it and does look at it with encouragement. It's not threatened by that. Really not threatened by competition at all. Good competition and
He's king of the hill.
Right.
He
right.
is, which is not a bad thing, guys,
Right. But
because he's a great guy.
exactly. But being able, you know, I talk to local competitors, quote unquote, in my area all the time. I invite them into my business. People fly in because here's the thing: if the more people we have doing a great job in a market, the more we have get rid of the fly by night guys.
You bet.
And of course, if we got rid of all the handyman, half the plumbing call volume would go down. Right?
I know it would. You know, and it's neat because I love that. I've told people before. I've had people reach out to me and say, "Look, I want to learn marketing, but you won't help me." It's like, why wouldn't I help you? Well, I live in your area. Okay. Well, I work in your area. Okay.
So do
So why would
6.5 other million people.
Yeah. So why would you help me? Because if plumbers are doing a better job, we all look better.
Absolutely.
If plumbers are charging more money, it's better for all of us.
Correct.
And you know, I remember walking in talking to Gus one day, and first time I really walked in, sat down for a mentorship meeting and talked to him. And he says, bring your price book. And I laid it down. He looked at it. He says, you're not charging enough. And man, I go back to the office like, guys, we're not charging enough. They're like, oh my God, we can't charge more. People complain already.
We're ripping our customers off.
It's like,
oh my
no,
God.
guys,
Yeah.
look, when you break it down this way and look at it, this is why we're not making money.
Right.
It's like, oh, that's the reason.
Everybody who's wanted a raise and I can't give you one.
I know, pretty crazy. The 10% rule, great advice. Absolutely. You know, and me, and I tell people, look, I always wanted to be the best plumber at a company that I worked at. And the reason being, I think, is what started it is walking into the union and everybody looks down on you. Everybody's like, hey, look, you're a rat. They've got really deep names that they call you. But you're a rat. You're no good. You don't know what you're doing. And they could say that. But then when I started out performing them, they kind of had to turn the volume down a little bit. So I was always like, look, when I come in, I want to do the very best I can do each and every day. So
Yes.
that's really a big deal. So I do. I like the 10% rule. Great way to put it. And you know, I have people ask me all the time, and we're going to get into managing a massive fleet here in a minute. But one thing that has always been big for me is I tell people, look, try to be the very best. Try to be the very best that you can be. And if you will do that each and every day, never stop learning, never stop trying, never stop going above and beyond, man, you're going to be good. But you've got to be the one to say, look, I'm going all in on this. And I really think that's such a big deal.
Absolutely.
All right. Jason Smith says, always do the right thing, even when no one is watching. Every day.
I think most of us learned that in kindergarten.
Yeah, but
we got to remember
90% of them don't do that. Maybe not 90%. My pest control company now has a fleet of over 13 vehicles. It's become really nice. I'll see it now. I'll get to it down here in just a second. Mark says, love your videos, Roger. I'm growing so much and having vision for my craft and career. Thank you for bringing such amazing guests to teach us. Blessings to you guys. Well, number one, Mark, thank you. Here's what's funny. And people ask me all the time, Roger, why are you making an app? Why do you make digital courses? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And it's because, look, I've been in the trade 44 years now. I'm 60 years old, and I've learned a lot of things along the way. When I got into plumbing, I had no idea about all the different opportunities. I didn't know about residential, commercial, industrial. I didn't know about new construction and service. I didn't know about the union and non-union. So I literally got in thinking, look, I'm going to be a plumber. Man, there's a lot to learn there. And Mark, what I've found is I can teach and give back. I've started my own business. I've grown it and sold it. I've grown it and sold it. I've sold it again. We're selling it again. So, I mean, the opportunities that I've learned from that I can share are amazing. So, Mark, thank you. I appreciate people like you that get in here and allow me to do what I do. Scott Watson says, always do what's right, even when they aren't looking. Okay, the golden rule of success. One-time plumber over in Arlington. Scott, good to have you in here. Now we get back to you. Home Rapid Repair says, my side pest control company is growing nicely. However, now with a vehicle fleet of over 12, it's becoming more and more trouble to manage all the issues related to that. You say side pest control. If you're running 12 trucks, that doesn't sound like a side job to me anymore.
I would wonder why it would be a side job. It sounds like a full-time job to me.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that.
Maybe he just does pest control on the side and everything else is the main thing. I don't know.
I don't either.
Love to hear from you, brother. Justin Spalding says, great content. I have to jump off. Had an emergency come in. Have a great weekend, everyone. Justin, great seeing you in here. Have an amazing day, brother. I hope everything is going wonderful with you. Joel Gauthier says, finished trade plumbing school 2 years ago. Been working in a hospital houses as a plumber for 1 year. Thinking about starting my own in the future. What would you recommend to train on? Now, you're not in plumbing, but you've been in HVAC a long time. Somebody like this, they finished school 2 years ago. They've been working in the hospital industry. Where would you recommend somebody like that to start out or to think about?
Find a mentor.
Huge.
The number one thing you can do. Find somebody who is doing what you want to do 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Find a mentor and pick their brain a little bit and listen and realize that you know a lot less than you think you do.
You know, we talked earlier in the podcast, you don't even know what you don't know.
Yes.
And guys, that is so big. So Joel, what I'll tell you is, to me, find somebody that specializes in something that you would love to do, whether it's slab leaks, leak detection, whether it is whole house water filtration. Man, there's so many opportunities there, but I truthfully think every residential service company should have something they specialize in. Your handyman, Hank's Handyman, specializes in complete bathroom remodels, beginning to end.
Correct. Yes.
That's a great thing to specialize in.
It is.
You could run a business just on bathroom repair or bathroom remodeling.
Yes.
So yep. I do. I think that is amazing. There's the link to the Trade Talks, guys. If you're smart. If I were you, I'd go ahead and click on that link and go over there and subscribe. That way, when the podcast videos, guys, we've already grown to, like, I think Brett told me we're in the top 25% of podcasts in construction, and we've been doing this less than a year. So, jump over and check it out. Squirt says, thank you. iCast Enterprises says, I used to fabricate for a family weld shop that sold over $2 million a year, yet had to put $1,000 deposit down for the first cell phone because they had never borrowed money. Man, this is good because iCast Enterprises, here's something I want to tell you about. Here lately, I've just started studying not just personal credit, not just business credit, but now corporate credit. And it's something that I'm fixing to start teaching about and talking about because it is completely different. It It is. I mean, when I've heard about business owners that could walk in and say, look, I've got okay credit, but I mean, when you go in and buy a new truck, do you want to put that on your personal credit if you may need a tractor 6 months on your business credit? And you really don't want to do that. So learning about corporate credit, these business guys can walk in and say, look, I want to buy this, but it's not on my credit, it's on my business. And they're like, ooh, man, that's hard to do. It's like, that's fine. Just run my EIN. They run the EIN and say, yeah, you can just sign the paper and walk out.
Right.
No down payment, no nothing. Go, you're good. So corporate credit is something I've started learning about and how beneficial it is to have it and the ways you can use it. So, man, stay in touch because this is something we're going to talk more about. My brother, Ty Circle in the house. Good to see you, brother. Yeah, the Trade Talks is amazing. We get to talk to all kinds of tradespeople, and it's more of talking to them about how they got in the trades, how they became great at it, how they started their own businesses, how they market it, how they grow it. So, man, you can always get good stuff over there. This would be a good one for you. Vinon wants to know, what do you think about home warranty work?
I'm definitely not a fan of home warranty work. You know, I think there may be a place in it in the very beginning. If you're just starting out your business, maybe that might be a reason to do it, but it's just not a very good place to profit and be successful, in my opinion.
I don't like the shady end of it.
Right.
And what I mean from that, I've talked to plumbers that have literally told me that the warranty company would pay them more money not to do the work than to actually do the work.
Right.
And they're like, you know, if you get out there and look at a water heater that needs to be replaced, oh, and there's a screw missing out of the cover plate, you tell them, well, it's not in original working order. And it's like, what do you mean? It's like, there's a screw missing. Yeah, but, you know, we don't know if somebody's got in there, worked on it, tweaked it, whatever, so it's not under warranty. And it's like, man, that is just shady. So
I personally couldn't operate in that
oh,
environment.
me either. I couldn't sleep at night.
It's kind of like I told you, I had a used car business, and I realized that I'm too honest to be in the used car business, and I kept losing money, so I just decided to close it. So
I think it's great because I've had home warranty companies call me, and it's like, I don't work for y'all. And they're like, look, we don't have a plumber in your area. You go in there, you run it like it's your job, we'll pay the bill. And I'm like, I'm going to tell y'all right now, I don't believe in y'all. I ain't jacking nobody over, I ain't doing nothing wrong. And I'm going to be honest up front and tell them I don't necessarily agree with home warranty companies, but they called me to do the work, so it's going to get done right. And they said, Roger, we love that. I said, okay. So I've done work with them 2 or 3 times back when I had my company, but that was my attitude walking in.
did you do it long term?
No, I did 2 or 3 jobs. That was it.
Same here. The 2 or 3 times I've done it over the years, it was very short term. It just didn't work.
Well, and it wasn't like I sought them out. They literally called me and said, look, we do not have a plumber in your area. You've got great reviews. We need somebody to go fix these people's problem.
Yeah, I don't even take their phone calls anymore.
Yeah. Well, I didn't much after that, but in the beginning I was like, okay, you know, I'll do that. But I was honest up front about it. I was like, guys, I'm doing this my way, not y'all's way. They're like, we're not asking you to do anything. Just go fix the problem.
Right.
I said, okay.
You know, I can imagine what it's like for, you know, let's see here. I was 42 now. So I was 19 or 20 when I started in the trades, and we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have shows like this one here where, man, the information's so readily available.
For almost anything.
Yeah. I think I tried a lot of things that everybody else tried just because I didn't know any better. And, you know, I think you guys watching that, I mean, just kudos to you guys for watching and learning and paying attention, because you can learn valuable lessons that we've already learned, and maybe you don't have to do it.
Yeah. Thank God for YouTube.
You used to have hair, right?
I know I did have back when I started plumbing.
Yeah. So this is the natural trades haircut. You know,
There
you
you go.
Full head of hair. Then you got me, and then we got you.
Randy Jackson says, every once in a while, I roll up on jobs unannounced just to see how the job is going. You want to believe what superintendents are telling you, but sometimes you just need to check up on them. Man, look, I agree with you. I've, as an employee, as a hand out in the field, I've walked in superintendents' offices, found them asleep. I've walked in superintendents' offices, they've been gone to lunch for 3 hours. Yeah, you've got to check on everything. But then again, look, I've also walked in superintendents' offices where the guys, they never stop work. They're there before anybody else. They leave after everybody else, and they're busy all day, every day. So I've seen both sides of it. Scott Watson says on that subject, I was told after 1 year holding a journeyman that we could take a class and get a master's. Is that correct? Scott, if you're in Texas and the training program you went through, meaning you went through a union or PHCC or Texas State Technical College, something like that, if you've done that, yes, you can. If you just went to work at an open shop company, if I just went to work at Milestone Plumbing, worked for 4 years to get my journeyman, then I would have to work 4 more years as a journeyman in order to get my master. So yeah, it depends on where you went to school or how you learned. Home Rapid Repair says, I'm having a founding partner. And you know what? Look, I'm not saying that all partnerships are bad. I'm saying that I've had a couple of partners in a couple of different businesses, and it wasn't good. But, sitting and talking to Ben earlier, really, I think the problem was lack of communication. I've had partners that I could text, they wouldn't call me back. Had partners I could call, they wouldn't answer. And since I'm not involved in the office day to day running the company, I don't know anything about it. I don't know what the numbers are like, where they're at.
Yep.
So it is lack of communication is tough.
Yeah. On the opposite side of that, you could have a partnership like I currently have where the partner is the mentor and a source for information and learning. And I think that's definitely the best case scenario. Like I told you earlier, I've had both. Definitely prefer this option.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now Home Rapid Repair says the partner runs the pest company, so I can focus on the other business. Good
Makes
for
sense.
you. Yeah, and I like that. And your partner's pretty much running another company while you focus on this one.
Right.
So it's a neat way to do it. Find a mentor is probably the number one piece of advice that can be given for any trade or business in general. And not just a mentor. Look, the reason I started the app, the courses, doing the things that I'm doing, my first coach was Michael Gerber. And Michael Gerber wrote the E-Myth books. And if you've never read them as a business owner, I highly recommend it. Because his philosophy is, look, you can't be the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur and do all 3 jobs amazingly. It does not happen. So, man, hiring him, and I used to meet with him every 2 weeks, and I've got to tell you, I learned so much, and my mind grew from asking questions and going through training. But I will also tell you this. When you hire a mentor, when you hire a coach, do what they freaking say.
What?
The worst thing I've seen people do is, well, I hired a coach. Well, he told me to brand and put my guys in uniforms, but I like the fact that we're wearing shorts and flip-flops and T-shirts.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to spend the money, go into it with an open mind, right? I mean, you're asking this person to invest their time, even if they're paying you. If you hired the right person, they want to see you implementing and they want to see you succeeding. They don't want to continually have to nag you to grow and do the things that are going to help you to be successful. It's your business.
You bet.
Right? So if you're going to spend the time, the resources in your time, that they want results, and you should too, or you shouldn't probably do that.
It's a game changer, guys. Abdul Kayumi says, hey, Roger, I've been working as an electrician for a few years. What do I do as well as other who deal with burnout? And I got to tell you, I'm lucky. I've never had burnout. And there may be times I get tired of stuff or something like that, but I shift or make what I would recommend is, you say you're an electrician. Are you service or are you new construction? Are you commercial or residential? It may be time for a change.
Yeah.
There's a big difference in residential HVAC work and and commercial HVAC work. Big. There's a big difference in new construction HVAC work. And when I say HVAC, electrical too. There's a big difference in electrical new construction and electrical service. Change it up.
Yeah, change it up. And are you burnt out because you hate your career, or are you burnt out because you've just been grinding for so long? And, those are 2 different things. If you've just been grinding, going to town, working, take some time off. You worked so hard. take some time off, relax, rest your mind. Don't take time off and just do a bunch of projects at home. Actually disconnect for a little bit and,
Yeah.
and
Don't
reset.
do your electrical at home.
Right. Don't go home and do your electrical, right? Go out, get out, take some time. You know, I've seen people over the years that were burnt out, get mad, quit
Oh, yeah.
place that they worked at for a long time, go somewhere else. A year later, they're trying to come back because, you know, if they ask their employer for, you know, have a conversation. Hey, can I have 2 weeks off? I'm really burnt out. I need to rest. They would much rather you take rest than have to replace you and retrain your position.
You bet.
Right. Take care of your mental health.
Mental health is huge. Joel says, thanks for the advice. I'll look into that. Scott Watson says, doing warranty work, most companies I've worked for always want to upsell and just do bad work. Their profit is in the sales portion. And I've had a company try to sell a customer a flood stop on a garage heater. Just ridiculous. Note, that was my last day. Scott, here's the deal. Look, my water heater's in my garage, but I wish I'd have had a flood stop on it because when my water heater did leak, it went through my wall into my laundry room. Now, not sure where that one was. and here's my thought. If we walk in, if I'm a plumber and, you know, you talk about upsell and stuff like that. If I'm a plumber and I walk into someone's house, it should be my duty to check all their plumbing. If they called me because they need a toilet pulled and reset, okay. But while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and inspect your plumbing system. And I did this. I literally got hired by a lady who's a roofer and a contractor, and she wanted me to move a laundry room for her because she wanted to take the existing laundry room and expand her closet. I get that. So I get over there, I look at it, I give her a ballpark price. But while I'm there, I checked everything, and I said, oh, by the way, you got 2 water heaters right above your 2-story vaulted ceiling that are 12 years old, and they're 6-year-old water heaters, 6-year warranty water heaters. 6-year warranty water heaters normally last 6 to 8 years. I've seen them last 10, but it's just waiting for a problem. And she said, yeah. She said, look, I'm not worried about that. I want the closet. I said, okay. I'll put together a price, get it back over to you. That was a Thursday or Friday. She went out of town for the weekend, calls me Monday and said, hey, when I got back in town, my ceiling in my living room was on the floor. One of the water heaters ruptured. Nobody was there. She lives on a golf course. Water flowed out the back of the house towards the golf course and the swimming pool and all that. And she says, I wish I'd have listened to you. Well, I wouldn't have got to it that quick anyway, so it really didn't matter. So I told her, look, it's not that you didn't listen. You just didn't act fast enough. But, man, and she told me, she said, Roger, I'm so glad you looked at it. I wish I would have done something sooner. So, to me, it's our job to let people know. And I'm not trying to sell them anything. I just said, hey, look, just going to let you know you got a problem up here. If I was trying to sell it, I'd be like, look, here's the price of a water heater. We need to shut your house down. We need to do it right now. Okay. And I've seen salespeople like that, and I don't like them. But here's the thing. If we're walking in people's houses and not making them aware of the opportunity or letting them know what problems they have, are we really doing our full job as a plumber or an electrician or an HVAC tech? I'm not saying come in and hard sell them. I'm not saying come in and force stuff on them. I'm saying if you come in and they need a flood stop, just let them know. Hey, Mr. Alexander, did you know that there's a flood stop? It's a product we can put on your water heater. There's a switch that basically goes down in the pan, and if it ever gets wet, it'll shut off your hot water heater. Then when you go get in the shower, if you realize you don't have hot water, you're going to go up and look at it. And when you see that red light blinking and you hear the alarm beeping, you're going to look and see water in the pan before it floods your house. Or even if it floods your house and that valve shuts off, it's only going to be 40 gallons, 50 gallons, whatever size water heater you have, not 500 gallons because it ran all weekend long.
Yeah. I mean,
Huge.
as the professional going into the home, it's kind of our obligation to do an inspection and you know, educate homeowners about things that are potential in their house. We're sitting here having this conversation right now, and I'm sitting here, and I'm a homeowner, and I'm not a plumber. I've never done plumbing for a living, and I have 2 50-gallon water heaters in my attic that are 11 years old, and I just dawned on me,
Just
like,
thought,
you know what? And
and you know a plumbing company.
I know, but And because I know a plumbing company, they come to my house and I go, "Hey, I just need the faucet fixed."
Yeah, don't look at anything else.
I've never
fix
had
this, get out
anybody
of
else
here.
look at plumbing in my house
Yep.
because I mean, last week I had a faucet that
Yep.
was squirting water out of a little hole.
And nobody
the
ever
handle.
walked around and looked at your water heaters. Or
No, I
anything,
know
did
the
they?
plumber by name. He came over. I told him what I needed. He left. Probably should have had him inspect it.
You
And
bet.
you know what? I've done that several times, and then like a week later, I'm like, "Oh man, I should have had him look at this too. I forgot about that."
So let me ask you this: when your handyman walk into a house,
Yep.
do they look at the air conditioning system and determine how old it is? Do they look at the water heater and determine how old it is?
They do not, but they do look at the weather stripping. They look at the caulking
Okay.
on the outside
Okay.
of the windows. They look at the all forgotten dryer vent.
So my thought is, since you know an electrical and plumbing and HVAC company that you work with, what if you had your guys? Hey guys, look, hey, Mr. Alexander, I'm gonna let you know. I know that I'm just here to fix that patch in the wall, but part of our home inspection is we inspect everything.
Right.
You've got 2 water heaters that are 12 years old. They both got 6-year warranties. Those normally last 6 to 8 years. Would you like me to have a plumber come look at it just to give you a price? I'm just making you aware of it, whether you want us to or not. At that point, it's like, yeah, you know what? Just go ahead and have them give me a price. That way I know where I'm at.
Absolutely.
It's huge. Same thing on the air conditioning
So
system.
that's a better way of keeping plumbers busy than the typical handyman way of keeping plumbers busy.
Yeah, just, yeah.
I know
doing
we
stuff
keep having
wrong.
fun joking about
I
that.
know we do. Abdul says, hey, Roger, would you sell the rest of Texas Green Plumbing and would you start a new plumbing company? Probably not. I mean, I still own a small percentage, so I don't know that I'd sell it. Maybe if the offer's right. But, my thought is I love what I'm doing. I get to teach people about getting into the trades, not just plumbing, electrical, HVAC, roofing. I get to teach people about getting in the trades. I get to teach them how to find the right trade, the right part of the trade, the right job, help them through the job interview, help them become better tradesmen, help them continue learning, help them learn the things that I did that helped me move up to be a foreman, a superintendent. People that don't learn things like this, guess where they're going to be 5 years from now? Right where they're at. They're going to be doing the exact same thing they're doing today. They're going to be saying, dadgum, I don't know why I don't move up. I teach people about starting their own companies. What does it take? Well, I learned a lot of the things that I didn't even know that I didn't know at the time. And when it comes to marketing and social media and networking, I don't think anybody can teach it for the trades better than I can. And if y'all think they can, I want to know who it is because I want to learn from them. And me, I've had to learn this because I almost lost a company. So Abdul, when I look at why I do what I do, no, I don't think I'd ever want to pull back and go back to owning a plumbing company again, not having to run it. Now, if Ben came up and said, hey, let's me and you open a plumbing company one day. Okay, maybe we can do that. You're going to run it. I'm going to do the marketing. I'm going to talk about it. But I'm working on things to me. They say when your why is big enough, it'll wake you up every day. We've got 1 million unfilled trades jobs across the United States. We've got over $1 trillion in unpaid student debt from colleges. My thought is if that college degree was really worth it, that student debt would have got paid back. So,
And then you have college graduates that cannot find a job.
a job in their trade.
A job in their
at all.
trade.
Yes.
Yep.
Home Rapid Repair says we've scaled the past company to $4 million in revenue in a short period of time. I love my partner. Man, I love that. Good for you. Nick Bryant says, hey, Roger, service plumber from Colorado here. Did my apprenticeship in Texas. Welcome. Love it. James Lee Jr. says, I'm wanting to get licensed to be a plumber and HVAC person. James, I am. I'm a Texas Master Plumber. I've got my HVAC certification. I never went and took the TACLA exam. I always thought with my certification, I'd be able to if I wanted to. I wanted to grow my plumbing into a plumbing HVAC company eventually. Just never did it. Congratulations there. Denver says, hey, Roger, thanks so much for the isometric. Man, see, you asked about it. I told you it was coming. Look, I love doing that. When I was in the union, I taught isometric drawings. So, man, I loved it. Denver says, finished off my basic level of schooling next week and heading to the Bruce nuclear power plant. Going to be making big money in the union at this job site. Denver, good for you. Now, Ben, let's talk about not just managing a company, but managing a massive company, managing a lot of people. For a residential service company, you said you've got 30 trucks?
Yep.
How do you manage 30 trucks?
You know, it's tough at this point because where I'm currently find myself is that I've been trying to manage it myself, and I'm not big enough to hire a full-time person just to manage the fleet. So really, we use a GPS dash camera that's forward-facing, rear-facing.
I love those.
Yep. I think Samsara is the
Yeah, I
brand.
don't remember the name of it,
Yeah.
but man, I love them.
Yeah. So that camera helps because we can see the mileage of the vehicle. We can kind of track oil changes. We need regular inspections, not like state inspections, but once a month we need to walk those trucks. Not just ask your guys, how's it doing? Seems like sometimes the guys will drive them till past where the brakes needed to be changed, but to more where the
rotors are being ground.
what rotors?
Yeah.
Yeah, no brake pads.
The rotors are see-through.
Yeah, so there is a lot to vehicle maintenance and vehicle maintenance, and nobody takes care of them like you take care of them when you're looking at the business ownership side of it. So I definitely think the key is routine inspection, and the key is having systematic processes in place for making sure, hey, the first Monday of the month, we walk the vehicles. How are we going to get them here? What are we inspecting? Who's inspecting it? So are we just relying on the technicians to check the oil, or do we have one or two people who are in charge of that?
Mm-hmm.
Do we look at the tires? How are the windshield wipers? And then also, we do turn over vehicles, and what's the plan for turning them over? When do we send them to mechanics? How do we handle breakdowns? Who do we call for tows? How do we move vehicles around? That's actually been a challenge, getting the ability to go pick up and transport and move vehicles. When we're putting a new vehicle into fleet, we've established vendor relationships that actually help us. And the big way they can kind of help us is they'll go get the vehicle, move it to the wrap place, then the upfitter will go get it, move it to the upfit place, and then when they're done with it, they'll bring it to us, GPS will get installed, and then we have it ready to go. We have a truck stock list, that's ordered. So just having systematic approaches and essentially building routines in your vehicle maintenance and fleet.
And let's talk about that. You've got a truck stock list. Do the guys, when they finish a job, say they go out today and they use a pack of screws and washers and sealant, weather stripping, yada yada yada. Do they order stuff right then? Do they order it at the end of the day? Do they order it at the end of the week?
So typically, man, handyman inventory has been considerably more difficult than my experience with HVAC. HVAC, we had motors and capacitors and contactors, and we had stuff for drains and stuff fitting for copper, carry thermostats, stuff like that. We typically have to go to the job and figure out what we need, and then buy it specifically for the job. We can't stock everything that Home Depot has, and
Right.
We need such a wide variety of tasks that we do stock stuff: paint trays, rollers, plastic, tape, screws, sealant, stuff like that. But typically they don't. When they need stuff, they'll just do a typical truck stock order, and we give them kind of a list of stuff that are considered truck stock supplies and stuff that's considered job supplies.
No, I like that because I'm thinking, okay, you need sheetrock screws, you need sheetrock, you need tape, you need bed, you need or mud,
Right.
You need all these different things. So I'm thinking, I like that. Plumbers, I used to tell my plumbers, look, we stock your truck. As soon as you finish a job, you need to put your order together for what you used. It should be tagged for that job so we know where it went. And man, plumbers just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And then they run to the big box store to buy a 3/4 90. They say, man, it only costs $1.50.
No, it didn't.
And it's like, really? You think that 30 minutes it took you to get there and 30 minutes it took you to get back, that you didn't add that in? And they don't get that.
Right. Fuels, toll, wear and tear,
Yeah.
lost revenue.
All that adds up. So yeah, it's having a truck stocked pretty good is a great way to start.
Yeah. I think if you're really talking fleet management, you have to also talk about risk mitigation more than anything, because insurance for a fleet is just
Ridiculous.
unbelievable. I mean, ours runs $250,000 a year.
Mm.
And that's painful. And every year it goes up a lot.
Yeah.
We have actually, having the driver facing and the front facing dash cam has been a really big deal for us. Not to mention, you get savings on your insurance, but it also helps you from frivolous lawsuits and claims. I can think of in the past 2 years, at least 5 situations where we were blamed for an incident, and you look at the camera and it's obvious that we're not at fault.
I love that.
So those are really, really important. I cannot state enough that those dash cams are there for your protection. Now, your guys in the field are going to think that you're spying on them, and you kind of can a little bit, right?
Yeah, you can watch what they're doing.
Don't say you took a lunch when you didn't take a lunch.
Yeah.
And ride the clock and stuff like that, because nobody sits and looks at those things all day, but you can go back and look at them if you need to. But primarily, they're there for fleet and for risk mitigation, right? Insurance hurts.
Yeah.
It really does.
And it hurts the business owner, y'all.
Yeah,
It hurts you too, whether you realize it or not.
You're right. It hurts you. It's the higher that insurance goes, the less benefits we can offer, the smaller we can contribute. Maybe if you got 401k matching, you can't do as many company events and parties. You can't pay the higher wages.
Right.
So
Abdul Kiyumi says, I'm a new construction electrician. I love it. Took a month off, came back. I love it still. But my body's hurting from pulling residential feeders, and they're big, and I have to pull 576 feet mandatory. Man. Yeah. With no tugger, I can get that.
how much weight you think that is?
Man, it depends on what size. I have no idea.
And why would 576 feet be the mandatory length? It just seems like an interesting number.
Maybe he's building footprint houses where they're all the same cookie cutters.
Maybe so.
And he knows exactly how many feet of wire it takes. I get that. And that's the thing that I always try to teach plumbers. Look, don't hurt yourself. And working commercial, it's easier to say that because you can get a roustabout, you can get a scissor lift, you can get electronic tools to help you do the job, or even mechanical tools like a roustabout. But residential service plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, handyman, it's the power tools you have in your bag. And other than that, there's sometimes you got to get into the manual labor.
Sure.
How do you keep guys from getting hurt? How do you keep guys healthy and keep them from hurting themselves?
I think it's reminding people of their personal responsibility to their own safety, right? I'm not on the job site with my guys. I can give them tools, but it's up to them to use it.
You bet.
If I give them safety glasses and they don't use them, that's not on me. Mm-hmm. I think we are all personally responsible for our safety. We're personally responsible for going home with all of these.
You bet.
Right? Mama still wants you to mow the yard and take out the trash, so make sure you got all your fingers and toes.
Got to change a baby's diaper. All the fun stuff.
So, I mean, it comes back to personal responsibility. I think we all get in a hurry. We've used that power tool so many times. We've done brazing and stuff so many times.
Without burning down houses.
But, I'm sure you've seen it over the years. I've seen people get hurt, and they know better. And maybe these devices right here, guys, these are very distracting. I've seen people hurt themselves because just like driving and texting, working on the job site while you're distracted by your mobile device, using power tools while you're distracted by a mobile device, maybe not paying attention to where your fingers are and your hands are because you're distracted. It's just really personal responsibility. Nobody wants you to get injured, especially you.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to injure yourself.
it's not as much fun as you think. You might be like, well, but I'll get a few days off. That's not the way to get it.
No, that's definitely not the way to get a few days off.
iCast Enterprises has been sitting in on some high-level conversations and summits pertaining to AI tools and agents to help assist employees with many of their tasks and monitoring logistics. Look, I use AI every day. And to me, if you don't, you're hurting yourself. Learning the prompts, learning the tools, sitting through the conferences, it's worth it. I've got a friend in Vegas that owns a multi-million-dollar AI company. And the things that they can do, I mean, you can have AI monitor your employees, look at the spreadsheets and say, hey, here's the trends. Here's the people who are closing. Here's the people who are having higher tickets. Here's the time of month. Here's the time of day, whatever it is. So learning to do AI is going to be beneficial for all of us. Denver says, hey, Roger, does Texas install building traps at all? No, we do not. Or is that no longer the case? Yeah, not here. Here in Ontario, they don't normally install those anymore. The only time I've ever installed a building trap is I did a Medical City hospital, and there was a building trap and an inspection port required on that. I have no idea why, but never seen it before. Abdul Kayumi says, we are pulling 3, 5, and 1 for multifamily apartments over 400 units. The reason for 576 feet is because to meet production, we were told. So you've got to pull that many feet a day. Okay.
Got it.
So that's how they're tracking your labor, which I love that.
Makes sense.
One thing that I learned to do, I learned to use the MCAA labor chart. And literally, I mean, I could look at a piece of pipe and the fittings and all that and tell you exactly how long it should take to install it and tell you how long we bid to install it, which is sometimes more important. So, no, I do. I completely get that. So back to managing a massive fleet. Now, I'm going to get away from fleet and go to more of the people. How do you keep 30 people happy?
At the same time?
Every day.
Every day? Man, it just goes back to like the word of the day. Communication. Making sure that everybody understands the goal of the day, why we're here, what we're here for, right? We're not just here to do a job. We're here to help make our customers' lives easier, right? Fix a problem that they're having. And we're here to provide for our families, be good husbands, good fathers, and really just kind of get back to the basics of why do we do what we do, right? Why am I a plumber? Why am I pulling 576 feet of electrical wire a day?
Each and every day.
Each and every day.
Yep.
All right. Why does my hands hurt and my back hurt? Right. It's you have a bigger reason for what you're doing, and it's your why, and you really need to figure out what that is. So we try to relay that to the guys. I want all the team members to know that we're here to help them succeed. It's not about me as the owner. It's not about the managers. It's about making sure that everybody is on the same page, understands the same goal. You have to have some hard conversations. Sometimes when people are unhappy and, take it with humility. Go into it with an open mind, find out why they're unhappy. Open communication. I don't think beating around the bush is the way to do it. Just honesty with them, honesty with yourself.
And here's the deal. And I don't want y'all to think about this because there are a lot of people that always think, look, the owner just doesn't like me. Well, number one, if the owner's keeping you around and he doesn't like you, that's bad on him because it makes his day rough. I remember when I had a manager that I knew was lazy. He wasn't getting things done. And I did. I kept trying to keep him around. I wanted to give him every opportunity.
Been there, done that.
And it's like it makes my life 10 times harder every single day. And, a lot of the old business guys say, look, hire slow, fire fast. Take your time hiring people. Make sure you're hiring the right person. When you decide it's time to get rid of them, get rid of them. Don't drag it out. Don't try to help them. And you talked earlier about being in that top 10%. And we've both been involved in best practice groups. And I remember going to a leadership meeting one day. And, to me, that manager's in the bottom 20%. And when me and you hire people, it's like, look, I want to get this guy up here.
Right.
I'm going to keep working with him. I'm going to spend time on him. I'm going to get him up into that top or mid 60%. So what you really have, you've got a bottom 20%. You've got the middle 60% and the top 20%. And you can add it up. I'm a plumber. It's 100%. I had to think about it.
Name my fingers.
I know. I had to think about it.
Oh.
But here's the deal. You get these people on the bottom 20%. And when we hire people, look, I didn't hire the wrong guy. I got the right guy. I'm going to get him up here. I'm going to work with him. I'm going to make him better. I'm going to do this. Man, when you hire people and you realize they're in that bottom 20%, the best thing you can do is confront them. Say, hey, look, Ben, when I brought you in, man, I thought you understood a lot more of this. I thought you had this down. I didn't think we'd be having to have this conversation. But look, I need you to move up into this middle 60%. I need you to move up because I'm spending way too much time trying to get you to do your paperwork, do your invoicing, order your materials, whatever it is. From our conversation we had when I brought you in, I didn't think we were going to have this problem, but we are. So I'm going to let you know, I need you to improve, and you're on a 90-day improvement plan. And maybe at this point it's a 30-day improvement plan, but I need you to up your game and let it go. Now, you don't spend any more time focusing on them, working on them, trying. I've told you what I need. You either get here or you don't. That's up to you. So you either find a way to fix it or you found a way to move yourself out of the company. One or the other.
Yep.
The middle 60% are where you need to spend your time on. Because the bottom 20% are the ones that aren't getting things done. The middle 60% are the ones that they get the things done each and every day. They just show up, they get their job done, everything's okay. They're not your rock star. They're not your top 20%. They're not the ones that...
They're not your problems either.
You bet. Yeah. You gave me a 4-hour job. I got it done in 2. Have a great day. These are your rock stars. This is where you want everybody. I get it. You would do so much better. And I say this right now, Abdul, because I keep thinking, or not Abdul, but the one we were talking about, my boss doesn't like me.
Right.
They like you. You're there. You're making money for them if you're doing your job. They like you.
If they didn't like you, you wouldn't be there.
Exactly. Right. Or shouldn't be.
Also,
hold on. So,
yep.
so you spend all your time on this bottom 20%. These are the ones that may never move up. So you confront them. You say, look, fix it or bye. Up to you. Here's where we're at. I need you to improve. It's up to you to do it. I've worked with you. I've coached you. I've helped you. You are or you're not. Your middle 60% is where you should be spending your time. Because if you can get any of those to go to rock stars, you're amazing. Your rock stars, man, what can I do for you? Nothing? Cool. Have fun. That's it. They don't want to hear nothing else. You can't coach me. You can't help me. I'm doing things right. You can still talk to them. How's everything going? If you say, hey, man, how's everything going? They're like, oh, man, you know what? Great. But you know what? I broke my saws off. Man, get you a new one. Don't worry about it. Get it on me. I'll take care of that. I don't want you slowing down. Matter of fact, where are you going to be? I'll send it to the job. Ben, go pick up those saws off. Carry it over to Tony. He's my top 20%. You're my bottom 20.
Here's a high five and a Gatorade.
You bet. Yeah. Yeah. You want a Hershey's bar with that?
Right.
So, I mean, to me, that's what it is. You've got to look at where you focus. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I've been notoriously guilty for leaving people in spots longer than I should have. And I would say that everybody has done that because nobody wants to have that conversation. Nobody wants to sit down and fire people. It's not enjoyable. It usually bothers me for a whole entire week before I know it's coming. Usually it's not ever a lack of effort. I would say that if you wonder if your employer likes you, well, you're still employed.
Yeah.
Right. If they didn't like you, you wouldn't be there.
And here's the deal. Go in and ask them. Say, hey, do you like me? Is there a problem?
Right. Hey, what can I do? What can I do better?
Yeah.
What can I prove? Man, I love it when people actually approach me and ask me what they can do better. It's great. And it shows me that they're wanting to improve. Like,
you bet.
Even if their performance is suffering, the fact that they're showing interest in improving, I can work with that all day long.
And here's the deal. If we train people, that kid who keeps coming back saying, hey, what can I do to improve? It's like, you know what? Ben keeps wanting to improve. I'm going to send him to this leak detection class.
Absolutely.
Because you know what? He's constantly asking, what can I do to get better? Hey, Ben, look, can we talk? I need somebody to learn leak detection. We've got a couple of guys and they're good. And I've had you out with them. They say, you've got a great attitude. Would you be interested in going to this leak detection training?
Right.
And I'll buy you the equipment. So you'll have it. It's my equipment, but I'm going to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to teach you to use it so we can start sending you out on your own to do leak detection at houses.
Yeah.
You can do that, or you can take that bottom 20% and say, hey, man, maybe if I teach him something like this, man, that'll get him up here. You know what he's going to do when you give him leak detection equipment? He's going to do the same thing he's doing now. He ain't going to do nothing.
It's going to sit in the truck.
Yeah, it's going to sit in the truck. So, man,
Get beat up.
They think I'm out doing leak detection.
Right. Yeah, man, I think that one of the things that has really just made me thrive in home services is being that guy and not being afraid to go up to my manager, my supervisor, maybe even the owner, and just saying, hey, how do I learn this? Hey, I want to do that job right there one day.
You bet.
What do I have to do? You know, I know I'm not prepared for it today, but
how do I get there?
How do I get there? I literally, you know, you were talking about Gus. I went to Gus probably about 8 years ago, and you know, we talked, and I told you that I didn't graduate high school, and I went into the trades early because of some life events. But I went up to one of my business partners and like, hey, I'm thinking about going back to school to get a MBA. I wanted to learn business. He's like, well, just stay here. We'll teach you.
Yeah, you get hands-on right
Stay
here.
And after that conversation, I got put in meetings where I heard things, saw things that I would have never, ever seen. I would have not been in that meeting. I would have not been in that group. I wouldn't have been in the position to learn if I wouldn't have brought it up. But the fact that I brought it up and said, hey, I want to learn this. How do I learn it? Where do I go? Do I go back to college? Can you show me? Is there somebody I should talk to? And just nobody's going to teach you if you don't ask.
Yep, you got the seat at the big boy table and you start having different conversations. I love that.
Right. I mean, if you're wanting to progress in the trades, there are two things that really, really, really I think are key as an employee. The first thing is kind of that 10% rule I mentioned. Guys, stand out above the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that doesn't even mean that you have to be the number one producer.
Right.
You don't. I was never the number one producer. I was on time. I showed up to meetings. I always wanted to learn. I asked questions.
Those things right there say a lot.
Steady progression. And then I made my intentions known by asking, how do I get to where I want to be?
Yep.
All right. I love it, man. If somebody comes up to me and like, they're like, hey, in 5 years, I want that job right there. What do I have to do? Man, come on. I want you in that job in 5 years. Nothing makes me happier than to see you in that seat in 5 years.
Because that means I moved him to somewhere else and we're growing. We're doing good things.
Man, I want to work with those guys the rest of my life.
You bet.
Absolutely.
Othniel Carbajal says, hello, guys. I just passed my exam and I'm a journeyman plumber in the state of Texas. Congratulations to you, man. Welcome to the club. Look, I got to tell you guys, there's no better feeling. And Othniel, I don't know, did you go to Austin? Did you go to Waco? I loved going down to Austin to take an exam. And I know that a lot of y'all have complained. And you're like, look, we don't want to go all the way to Austin. We want to go to Waco or wherever. Man, going to Austin, to the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners, and taking that exam and passing, man, it felt like it was a rite of passage. It's like, man, every plumber in the world's been through here. At least the good ones in Texas. So I do. I love that. But I'm curious, did you go to Austin? Did you go to Waco? Where'd you go? If you're in here, please put that in here. Denver says, good job, man. So proud of you. Do what? Yeah, went to Austin.
Went to Austin.
Nope, I love it. Went to Austin to do the practical. See, I love that. They're doing the practical now in Waco. But, man, you got to go to church as far as I'm concerned. That is beautiful. Denver says, how did the test go? Did you find it hard? Somewhat. Yeah, you've got to study for it, guys. And look, I teach people how to study for it. And I know it's not in here because it's in there on my desk. The UPC study guide to me is the greatest tool for studying for that. So it can go hard if you don't study. Somewhat hard. Thank you. You're welcome. Multiple choice questions. Yes. Went to Austin. I love it. Ika says, Have to run, join a stream with a French group. Everyone have an amazing weekend. Man, thank you for being here, iCast Enterprises. I do appreciate it. I care about production, but I care more for quality of work. And I completely get that. Quality of work is huge, but you've got to be able to produce also. And the reason I say that, Abdul, and I want you to think about this. If we bid a job, and I'm going to go to commercial because it's easier to quantify like that. And I say, okay, there's 100-foot piece of pipe running from here to there. And I look at the book, say, okay, we figured 23 hours to run 100 feet of pipe. That means it was 0.23 hours per foot. Probably not because of the math on 60 seconds. Anyway, I can say, look, here's your blueprints. Here's the list. I need a hanger every 5 foot. Here's what I need. Oh, and by the way, you've got 23 hours to finish. Well, if that's you by yourself, that means less than 3 days. If I put an apprentice with you, that means less than a day and a half. And I can quantify that and say, look, this is how we bid it. So you have to know the production. You've got to know, look, what am I supposed to be able to get done in a day? We talked all about the 576 feet. They bid a job knowing how much time they put in to pull that much wire. So that's what they look at it like that for. And it really is. It goes up to be a big deal. Carlos Arias says, why don't you put your lowest performance people with your top guy to learn from them? And you do. But when your lowest performance guy goes out on the job and plays Pokemon on his phone all day instead of helping the guy, that's when you got to go to him and say, dude, look, your butt is down here on the bottom. I need you up in this middle. And it means putting that phone up. It means doing this. You give them fair warning, but then you say, look, I'm not coaching you. I'm not helping you. You need to figure it out.
I'm not putting that guy with my top producer.
Because it's going to slow your top
unless
producer
he's
down.
asked to be mentored and learned.
Right. Because then I'm just slowing down my top producer.
And I'm wasting money. He ain't doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jolnir's Wrath says, with proficiency comes efficiency. Very good. Or discipline. Our discipline somebody has in doing their job in the first place, the more efficient it eventually becomes. And guys, look, we're down to a minute here, so I'm not, after Abdul here, I'm not going to answer any more questions. Says, hey, Roger, do you have a production requirement for your company, and how do you do it? We've all got, I'm not going to say a production requirement because we're not in new construction. When I was in new construction, yes, I could hand somebody a set of blueprints, and I've already done the math and said, look, this is how long you've got to finish this area. And that means everything. And it means the anchors, the hangers, whatever's involved. Yes, it was already factored in. But we've got to do that to let somebody. If I just tell you, Abdul, look, I want you to hurry up and finish this area. You may look at this area and think, okay, I'm going to do this in about a week. If I tell you, hey, I need this done by Wednesday, you might look around and say, okay, you know what, I can knock it out by Wednesday. But if I tell you, hey, we've got enough hours in here, you need to get this job done by the end of the day tomorrow, you're like, okay, I need to hump it. Here we go. And guys, it really does work that way. If nobody gives you expectations, nobody gets in a hurry. Nobody gets in a hurry. Under this fun fact, fluid drain, cleaner openers, not just money down the drain. There you go. Technically, I meant to say the more discipline somebody has, and Carlos says good points. As you know, I've got a special guest in here today. Ben, brother, this has been fun.
This has been fun.
Do me a favor and tell everybody who you're from, where you're at, what you do, how you started and grew an amazing business.
Yeah, so Ben Alexander with Hank's Handyman, handyman and remodeling here in DFW, and just started it in August of 19, built it up to, we'll do about $8 million in revenue this year as a handyman. Right?
Fantastic.
Taking care of customers, taking care of people, coaching and inspiring guys to be their best selves. I mean, just sticking to the basics.
I love it. If any of y'all are in the Dallas area, you know somebody that might be a good handyman, have them get in touch with Hank's
Absolutely.
Handyman. You're looking for people always. We all are.
Always. Yes.
And, you know, guys, look, it's a great way to get started in the trades. And I may get in as a handyman and say, oh, God, I love this. I don't want to go to a plumbing license. I like being able to do everything, the versatility. So, guys, this has been fun. Thank you all for being here today. And I thought I turned off the rotation. I don't know why it's still doing it. There we go. Hit the stop button, Roger. Guys, this has been fun. I love what I get to do. Thank you all for being here. If you like what you saw today, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, give us a thumbs down, but hit that button twice. That way it goes away. But look, man, we've got a great community here. I think I've got it pinned up at the top. We've got an app coming out. Go over there. You can check it out. I think we actually launched it either the end of this month or next month. So it's coming. We've been working a lot on that. But guys, love having y'all here. Love being able to jump in and do this every Saturday. I think I'm actually back in town next Saturday. I know I wasn't last week, but love having y'all here. Thank you for being here. My name's Roger Wakefield. I'm transforming and elevating the trades industry through education, innovation, and community engagement. So thank you for being here and being part of it.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great day, guys.